Evening, afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are. Um, oof, I'm very tired today. Very tired today. Got a very raspy voice. And I'm just gonna get straight into this. It's what 11 p.m. I've got a couple of hours in me, I think. But we'll see. But yeah, we're just gonna get straight into this. This build and restoration and cockpit and whatever else we're adding to this project. Just bear with me with my tiredness today. I will hopefully pick back up during the steam and kind of get stream and get myself reorientated, re-energized and remotivated as we're going along. I did want to kind of have a look at this earlier in the day, earlier in the evening, just to kind of get my bearings after yesterday's stream. We did spend quite a lot of time planning and tweaking a few of the skills that we've got built into this project. We ended up building an audit layer just to help us with orchestration, and that took a while longer than I thought it would do, but the fruits of it and the output that we've ended up getting from that is going to be something that is quite useful. I had a quick look last night after shutting the stream down, because subsequently finished doing the audit and the feedback on the state of the project soon after me ending the stream yesterday. So I want to pick up from there, essentially. I've not really done anything with that information. I thought it's worth just kind of showing it live without skipping some of the bits, just so that you guys have that full context as well. If you're someone that's kind of following along on this build from the first one, and kind of just going through this progressively as a series, whether you're trying to repeat the same thing or take elements of some of the items that I'm building, or trying to bake some of the functionality into whatever you're doing on your AI journey or your system building journey as well. So yeah, enough about me. Let's just transition off of my face and kind of get straight into this. So I've just flicked screens, and what you're hopefully seeing on your end, just swapping screens and just moving a couple of things around, everything on the one monitor, just to make transitioning a bit easier for me. What we've got here is this framework, or this kind of cornerstone of the system that we're actually building, the spine. And I'm actually going to flick to try and explain this a bit better without going into crazy amount of detail, for those that have probably heard this before already on the channel, or on this build along. So just bear with me as I quickly just switch the window that I've got open, just so we can then go through that on the cursor side of things, and I can then explain a little bit better in terms of what it is that we're actually looking at. Take it from there. Cool. So this document just kind of outlines what we've built so far. So we've got our core master branch, which includes our frozen spec MD. We've then built slices into our build, so you can see that here in terms of where we're at so far. We've got a master branch which is obviously tagged with a commit reference. We've then handed off 5 slices of work. Why are we handing off 5 slices, and what are slices? So if you imagine slices as really succinct vertical slices of work being shipped one at a time. So we've got an overall plan in terms of what it is that I'm trying to build, and then I've divided that into slices set really tight guardrails within my Claude setting MD. My setting JSON that's kind of driving the rules within this project. And then from there, we're building and planning one slice at a time. Once we get to a particular, cross section, we can then move on to the next and the next and the next from there. So these are all the governance. So these are all the governance layers. Obviously, not this specific memory version of the file that we've got that we're working on elsewhere, but we've got a setting.json. We've got a ton of hooks that are running, and then specific Python scripts as well that are helping us with guardrailing and governance of this project as we're going along. So in terms of the slices thus far, we've got the 5 slices, which are the ingestion layer, which is basically taking in all of our the royal R, but all of my conversations that I've had with AI over the last 3-4 years. So we've got an ingestion layer that's taking in the notes and creating the structure in terms of the edges where we want to define those within that kind of node structure that you just saw in Obsidian. So we're basically building a custom ingestion layer into Obsidian, creating the graphs there. I could have built something that's bespoke, but I didn't really want to, because my brain's getting ahead of my speech. So I didn't want to build something that's a replica of Obsidian, and I've seen people do that elsewhere. What I wanted to actually build is an ingestion layer that's just got my core knowledge base. We've got a really custom setup in terms of how that information is getting into Obsidian, how it's being displayed, the relationship matrix. So we've got similarity edges, which we've set to a lexical relationship rather than a semantic relationship. And lexical just basically means we're looking for the same words within the conversations, rather than a semantic relationship where it's words that mean the same thing being the pairing and creating the similarity edges. So we've built that out, and that's working. We've then created the graph legibility in terms of how they're being labeled. We've created the edge weighting, recency saturation gradient, and these are all things that we've put in, making this visible again so you can see. So these are all things that we've put in just to make life a lot easier for me in terms of reading and navigating through these conversations in this way. So again, the size of a node means something, the color of the nodes means something, the saturation of the node as well is again information that we're linking so that we can then create a really good data model from these conversations and how they're all connected, how they're all related. And then from there, I'm going to build out a core system for mentorship, prioritization of tasks, and then overall kind of navigation in terms of what my mind's been thinking about, the sort of things I've been trying to build with AI. And then as I continue to add kind of like a stream of new conversations to this nodular setup, once it's all set up, it will be driving things like a mentorship layer that we're going to build in, and that's going to be using like a data model based off of all of this information. So right now we're just kind of building the groundworks in terms of getting the information in, making sure that it's all logged correctly, and that's then going to make the second half of the build, which then ends up kind of looking pretty and doing all of the performance aspects and be more kind of like front facing, it's going to make that look a lot more intelligent than it is. But we're actually, with spent 4 days building out these relationships, building that, really grinding out, and making sure that the information and the nodes are connected in a way that makes sense. Because once we then get to that kind of more visual, more GUI, more I guess the sexier side of AI systems and things like that, the things that impress and make you look really clever and whatnot, are actually the less fancy and elaborate stuff that end up kind of, making the system look good and act really intelligent. But all of the intelligence is actually built in these boring bits that no one really talks about, and that it doesn't really get the attention that it deserves. But these are the sort of frameworks and building blocks that end up taking the longest time, that you can't really one shot or try and vibe code your way into it. As you've seen, we've been on stream for 2 hours at a time, 3 hours at a time, and moving like half a slice, or spending a whole hour just building a skill. So, and this is the aim. This is kind of giving you an overview in terms of where we're at. We're not too far in terms of finishing off the core aspect of this, so that I can then get back to this and wrap up the whole nodular aspect of this. Again, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We're just tweaking the functionality within Obsidian. We're tweaking the relationships, and we're using that as the platform. But then we're manipulating the information as it goes in, and changing the parameters, and changing the colors, and building our own kind of index off of that, so that we can then feed our that can kind of like sit as the core hub that our notes sit in, and then it will drive the brains behind the rest of the system that we're building. And then that's when it'll kind of like get fancy in terms of how I'm setting all of this up. So yesterday we ended the session having built and kind of made a more robust version of our look ahead feature. We ended up fixing this and adding the perplexity layer back in, so that it's now got the intelligence back again, and that's fixed in terms of how it's dealing with the perplexity queries. It's relinked back with my pro account, so we should be getting slightly smarter suggestions again, rather than using the anonymous account that it gives us and then giving out really poor outputs that are not really well thought out. On top of that, I'll just quickly open up my peer reviewer. It's all right. Cool. So I'm just going to move across as well. So with regards to the audit tool that we built yesterday, so this isn't really a skill. It's not a skill. It's not an AI agent. It's not a lookup or anything like that. It's more of like an asynchronous AI review layer. It's a background AI audit. And it's a background AI code auditor that's got the human in the loop guardrails. So we've baked that in. It's a bunch of separate Python scripts that are running that can then trigger however many agents it needs. We've built it with robustness so that it's routing and using different tiered agents to pull and do several tasks. So if it's looking up a document, it's using the really low cost models and things like that. So yesterday this actually ended up running, and I think it burnt something like what, I want to say it spun up 34 agents, but I don't want to pull random figures out of my bum. So let me check, because it did quote and give me feedback in terms of how many agents it ended up drawing up. Yeah, so you can hopefully, might be small depending on what screen you're using, but the sweep did all the heavy lifting. 34 agents, 1 million tokens, all of the review and the verification completed, but the final aggregation line crashed. So that was the initial pass of it, which happened during the stream, because I think there were a couple of clashing and overriding Git commits that ended up causing that agent layer to get confused on the first pass. So we fixed that, made a few edits on it, and then it was working. So then this is now going to be running after me, and I'm sorry, just obviously 16 minutes in and I'm still just waffling, but I want to just kind of, it's also helping me reorientate myself with regards to where I actually got to yesterday. So then this did a sweep for quite a while. It looked through absolutely everything. So the code itself again is just triggered using several layers of Python script. So it's repeatable. It knows we've set exact parameters in terms of what it should be doing, what it can spin up. And that just runs independently and does a full sweep, and then gives me this sort of report card in terms of, okay, cool, the high risk or gap items that it's found. So it's found 7 full corpus invariants that never run in the CL. So all 7 test gates export full is get ignored. They never run on a fresh clone or in a review. The casualties are in the most important invariants test. There's the monosonic guards. A change to the hash or the edge depop gets green CL, white silent. Ooh, bear with me. Excuse me. A change to the hashing or the edge depop dedup gets a green CL, while silently breaking the full corpus contract. The commit synthesized, the export sample. Calling in, we've got housekeeping. So what I'm actually going to do with these is I'm going to run, and just, I'm not going to bore you with the detail, but we're going to just get into just fixing some of these things, because we have to respect the findings and investigate the findings. Otherwise we're just building on top of like lousy infrastructure. It has given the verdict that, it is a ship worthy build so far, which is great for us. The ingest spine, the similarity pipeline, the render only as in slice 4 and slice 5 features are correct for the current corpus, but the real exposure is in the test coverage and the uncommitted governance code, not in the shipped product code, which is good. We're still obviously in a safe space. Those are just more testing gaps. So then medium risk that is identified is the housekeeping and governance engine. It keeps so the tests are uncommitted. Slice branch.py, that was new anyway, that because this was within this auditor's toolkit anyway. So slice, sorry, no, not within this. We were building that into improvements that we were making to the slice logic and the branch logic, because we were changing the Git governance to make sure that we're always creating branches that are slice specific and slice named, just so that that's actually being enforced, because there were several times where I've ended up with messy code within my repo that's uncommitted, untracked, and under really no umbrella, and then the project ends up carrying on. And then when you want to end up tweaking a feature, you find that the things that you're looking for are not even committed in the master branch, and have been left off. So this is good that it's finding things like this. So we need to be able to review it. So what I'm actually going to do first is peer review this. Document, the 5 rejected claims, so you know what didn't hold up as a phantom, want me to act on any of these. The fast and safe batch would be to co-sign keyframe. So the order to digest for slice 1 to 5. So I'm gonna get these into a peer review first and foremost. I just want to change that. Sorry, this is my keyboard. I want to just quickly change the directory that I'm in. So change the directory to the axo bit. And then from here, feedback. Review the feedback from the auditor. Orchestration. Already audit. Digest. How would I just want to see. Cool. So that's running and doing its peer review. While that's doing that, we've already triggered all of the hooks that we need at the start of this project. So what I'm actually now going to do is bring up a new session real quick, Claude, and now what I'm going to do is quickly hit Shift Tab to enter plan mode, and then trigger the grill me for slice 6. Right, because what I want to actually do, so I'm just going to have a quick look at Obsidian, see where we're at now in terms of what Obsidian's actually currently got inside it, what it's looking like, what it's looking like, certain things that I want to change, which I'm aware of and which I want to know is the group taggings. I don't want them just to be named, prominence 1, prominence 2, prominence 3. I want them more user friendly. So in terms of high, critical, this, like that sort of grouping, it's a really low entry thing, but we can package this work up, because the slice, even though we're packaging things into small slices, a quick tag name or label name, or just for the taxonomy here, is low hanging fruit. We change it now, we're going to be writing less, there's less places to change it, the more slices we build on top, and there's less confusion because we know exactly what we're looking at, exactly what we're looking for. So I'm going to get that changed here. I don't want the prominence to be named this way. I want it to be slightly more user friendly, because as you can see, so if you look at the prominence here, it's labeled prominence 5. But if I'm in this, that doesn't really communicate anything to me. I want prominence 5 to mean something. So, and then the recency, yeah, cool. That's going to be, it's showing as recent in the grand scheme of things, you know, based off of the sample size. Because remember, we're only doing this on a snapshot of 30 conversations. I have exported over I think 3,000 or 4,000 different chats with various number of messages within it. So obviously once we ingest the whole thing or more batches, that recency should also the recency tag should also be dynamic as well. So I want to make sure that all of those sort of things are connected here at this stage, rather than finding out that that's not the case and then having I guess to reconnect those points on more conversations. Let's make that dynamic. So I think that's kind of the steering that I'm thinking for slice 6, is just to clean up more of these sort of operations, more of these sort of small details at this stage before we end up ingesting more and then having more touch points, more data to kind of clean up. And yeah, it's just going to end up getting messier. So we're going to make the tags dynamic. We're going to clean up the prominence. Node/message, that's fine. Doesn't really hurt anything. And I think everything else is fine in terms of the format. I'm not too indifferent about the format. I think I also want to change the naming of it. In terms of like the name, I want the format. Yeah, the format should be different in terms of the node titles or the node labeling as well. And that's something that I'd rather just tackle now, get the logic in there so that it's less data that we're having to clean up and correct further down the line. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking anyway. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I'm gonna throw that into my planning pool for slice 6. And then yeah, let's see how we get on. Let's see how we get on with that. Remove precise 6 options. Currently Cool. So I've essentially just communicated just that that I want to improve the recency tagging, make sure that it's dynamic. I've then triggered the grill me tool while this is running and kind of doing its thing and starting to review some of the items that we're talking about. I'm actually going to now just look at the findings from the peer review on the auditor digest. So that's actually come back to me and is suggesting that slice, we actually put that into slice 6a. Yes, but I'd split them into so that slice A does not become a mudslide. The current repo states that slide 5 is shipped, which is okay. Next is really a slice 6. The next is really A1 slice 6. Test agreements now. Best approach. Pre-slice cleanup before starting A1. Commit the dirty governance bucket first. So yeah, all of the hooks and slices and things like that need to be committed. And then I'd add the missing command start to ship a slice guard at the same time. The governance is more hardened in batch. They can start slice 6. So the clone dump. So the clamp cosign. Treat the high CI gap as the main slice 6 gate upgrade. This is one to prioritize because A1 adds a new ingestion adapter. Best version is to split the existing sample fixture into growth phases and assert the ID stability idempotence unconditionally. That avoids committing the private full export data and still catches the exact regression class. So yes, confirm the actions. Cool. So what I'm actually going to end up doing is I still want to do all of these other cleanups so that maybe slice 6 becomes an A and a B, so that we're fixing some of the things that the auditor has found as important, and then we tweak some of these other things that it found as the high risks, and then on top of that we clean up some of the naming conventions issues, the recency wiring that we need to improve as well, and then we can see where we land after that work's done. So that's kind of where my mind is at in terms of what this next slice should be looking like. While this is happening, I'm actually now going to quickly commit these. Commit the dirty governance buckets that were kind of just hanging around. So just accepting this bash command really quickly to do that. And then whilst that, so I've now got a solid grounding. So cool. So the grow me is about to begin. And then we can go through these questions. So my recommendation equals slices, relevancy, legibility, scale, a robust bucket in math. The render rate plus the deterministic one, both fully gateable on a new synthetic wide span fixture. Defer the fixed cap to A1 or post A1 slice where you'll have a real volume judge density against. Keep slice 6 clean vertical slice that ships user visible value, legible, scale correct tags without blocking the data that you don't have, and respects the smallest step to the golden rule. The alternative is to do an A1 first, get raw data, then hardening, but A1 is bigger. So does slice 6 relevance? Are you putting something different altogether? Are you picturing something different? So okay, cool. So the relevance, eligibility, defer the cap to A1. No, so we're going to be doing that, but then I'd also want to I also want to add these to it. Okay, so yeah, like scale, bucketing, following. Cool. So at least now we're baking what the auditor has found into this next slice of work. We can get that clean, and then we can kind of like amp up the functionality as well as we're going along. So while this is again, so second, I just want to just put this thing where we're at the moment as well. So the gate government cockpit roadmap direction resurface. Just want to just open this in a new planning session as well. Not so much planning, but peer review. Then that can then go into planning. This is where. Also, and just feeding several I'm just feeding several peer review agents just different pieces of information, just so that we can see where we're at. We can still get that concurrent bits and bobs flowing and going. Yeah, let's have a look. Where are we? Where's the next question? Every factor relevant. What was this? Okay, of course, a grill me. what should be on the next question now? So the web search covered it. The signal from the practice is clear and it reframes your branch one finding. The dominant pattern for recency at scale is our firm style, percentile, quantile, bucketing by short age, cut into quintiles, which keeps the brand population balanced no matter how big the corpus gets. Exactly the failure you fixed, or your 90-day ladder has fixed. So question 2, the prominence 1, 2, 3, 4, you describe 2 different mechanisms, and the fixed is probably to split them, not rename them. But why is the prominence customer facing? So the relabel prominence 1 to 4 into relevance labels, but mixing them. My recommendation is grounded the RFM split and blend the pattern to their own product surface. Recency band, keep 4 bands. The connected band. Okay. I will say so they are front facing. From in Okay, you're closer than it may feel, but not yet elemental. So my readers, you have a cool neural network, skeleton working, Claude export, I'm sure what you captured clearly. What is captured clearly? The North Star is explicit of Claude and demodeling. Think of them an AI chat, and then orchestrate. The architecture is explicit in Claude, so ingest, similarity, mental, cockpit. So we're doing is the rendering is locked in, and if I slice is in conversation with index. The next one is ACC1 derivative project meta, and then handoff. The important correction that you pasted, state slightly, paste is stale state. The repo is clean. Instead of the government's changes. I agree with you. My honest distance estimate. Notes and messages, obsidian through graphs, so 70 to 80% there. For the static Claude Code bar. Live, fresh core, 50 to 60% there, the A1. The key missing is because it turns the current Claude Code chat into fresh recurring input, or with real project from Cursor get branch. First useful mental layer is probably 3 to 4 good slices away. After A1 you still need an interpretation, read model layer, themes, decisions, and open loops and presence. Okay, cool. So it seems like we're about 3 days away. Just to kind of give a little bit of context, I used my zoom out. So I use my zoom out. Can you guys? Sorry, I'm just checking that you can see that on your screens. So I used my input output from my zoom out skill that obviously gave me this overview in terms of what we've got so far in terms of the slicing, where we're working to, and then I've pasted that into my kind of like steering or correction skill that I've got running on the next window, that kind of then ingests that zoom out view in terms of where we're at against the overall plan, just to kind of get an estimate in terms of how many more slices does it think I am away from the actual mentor state. So the next slice of work is obviously not slice, but the next batch of work is going to be the A1 layer, where we're kind of building more of that, the technical aspects of the modeling, the reading, the contextualization, dealing with the live messages that are going in from all of the other chats, because obviously all of this currently is dealing with static data from the imports that we've created. So the next layer of work will be just dealing with the live and future streams of messages and conversations and notes or anything else that I want to plug in, and then from there we'll be in a much better position to jump onto the mentorship layer, which I think is going to be exciting, to kind of build and work through that next few days. Oh, so where was I? I hate that sometimes when you just flick something and then you just, oh, which window. Right, so what I'm actually gonna do is close that look ahead feature, so I don't need it right now. Also the prominence, supplement prominence stays, plus a new word recency this month, I think. Hub, the prominence recency, that's fine. Drop the blend. Okay, cool. So B. We'll go with B. Cool. So all of those are committed. We can close that as well. Don't need that open. Structure. Cool, that is fine. So we've made a decision on this as well. So B. While this is kind of going through, while this is going through that, let's see. My recommendation is the concept open loop extraction slide. Don't jump straight into the dashboard. Instagram. Cool. All right, just give me a second. I'll be back. I'm just gonna quickly get a drink. Back. right. Yeah, I'm back. Where was I? So recency ban. So be it is name bans. Cool. It's in the absolute ladder. It's one of the only. It's the only one that both self-describes and has a low churn, but the smallest code change and fixes everything that collapsed the old problem. Alright, cool, I'll go with yours, really. Cool. So that's done. Let's have a look at where we are at. Cool. And as always, the next task for us is to read the output. Sorry, no, that was me thinking that it's actually completed. For me, so we've got another decision to make. So it might not set the table with relevancy and design. Genuinely invariant across the add-only phase. 1, 2, 3, 4, all assets and subsets exactly 30 note. What is it? Is it yeah, I think this is the right approach. So what this crossroads is essentially asking us is when I had Obsidian up, so I'll just quickly switch over to Obsidian for you. So essentially what this is communicating, I do this. I do this and give this the justice it deserves. So essentially, obviously, we've got our node tree here, and it's a sample size of 30 conversations / messages from late 2024. It's just a snapshot or collection of messages from 2 years ago, or just over 2.5 years ago. So what this is saying, and obviously my first kind of feedback in terms of things that I want to correct at this stage is this recency tagging is baked in with the recency message, right? But once I actually put more data in here and export more, and it ends up ingesting more messages from my export, this hard baked and hard coded recency is going to be out of date, right? So not out of date, but it's going to be wrong. And it's the same thing with my weighting. It's the same thing with the prominence and things like that. They're all baked in. And this is kind of where we're at a tug of war, because it's saying in order for this to kind of pass the testing and the weighting and things like that, in terms of the currently the recency, the prominence in terms of like the number of messages and the similarity matrix, all of this we built a couple of slices ago. We built a formula or a relationship to handle weighting based off of this logic, right? So the moment that we make this dynamic, we're essentially false failing some of these things, because within the test script that we wrote, we wrote the expected results into here. So it's as if we're having to now accept a fail, which isn't actually a fail, because we need it to behave that way, so that once we actually ingest more conversations and more data into this, we're getting, so we're going to end up with data that's not going to be matching up, or it's going to end up failing at the test script that we've got. But the test script needs to also be amended, because it can't have the recency hard baked or the prominence weighting hard baked in that same manner. That's what's happening here. Cool. So now what is recommending is that the growth, so the recommendation is the growth phase test asserts only 1 to 4. So the ID, the row stability, the monotonic test, within the phase independence. So this is a pure structural deterministic gate. It explicitly does not pin the edges, the bands, the buckets, and that catches the exact regression class A's new adapter threatens, so that the IDs are not set on they're node set or going to be corpus dependent, and the corpus is all of these nodes and things as a collective. That's the corpus. So I'm just letting it know. So the recommendation is valid. Cool. So now it's just asking me to find a few questions. So add a generated tag legend, note vault legend.md that defines every band in plain words. This is the most direct cure for the tags. Right. Yes. Add a legend. So yeah. The frequency or the recurrence axis. So RMFF. How often a theme recurs across conversations needs which Claude MD scope. So it's now writing the plan which we're gonna send off for peer review. No, so always select keep planning, just so that I can put it into my peer review agent and then direct it to the right place from there. Doing a couple of post something on my story at the same time to direct people to the stream. Trying to get out of my comfort zone. Cool. So as it's doing that, plan is written. Three. I don't know why it's using just read weird naming conventions, but we need to get that. Yeah. So we've got the plan, the draft of the plan. Got the draft of the plan written out. So the next step from here Cool. So the plan from here is done. Sorry, folks. Cool. So the plan here is now to do a peer review on this. So I'm going to launch my peer review session with my peer review agent. So in this slice of work, what we want to actually get done is sort out the recency, make that dynamic. We want to fix a couple of the items that are audit orchestration layer flagged to us as well. And that is obviously always constantly running as well. So with any work that I'll be committing now, or any of the slices that I'll be committing now, this is an orchestration layer that's running in the background at very low cost, because once it's got that initial benchmark that we set yesterday, it's now only really tracking new commits. It's not scanning or having to ingest every single file on a daily basis. Otherwise that would just spike our token utilization, and make that crazy high. So what I want to do here is get this peer reviewed with my peer review agent, see if there's any kind of gaps that we're missing in this slice of work. We've set all of obviously the critical items, the critical lines. We've set what's out of scope with regards to the frequency and the reoccurrence axes, the cap tuning. All of these sort of things we've frozen, we've locked down. They're not in this in this body of work. That's kind of going to be an A1 task. So again, we're probably 2 or 3 slices away from the A1 sprint of work. We're still got slice 6 to actually implement, slice 7 potentially to implement, and then we can lock down that initial core ingestion, formatting, organization of our nodes, and then I think that will pretty much cover everything that we're trying to build in this core hub here, and just sorting out all of these layers in terms of the system's core neural network. And then once we get to A1, we're going to be in a position to then pump the rest of my knowledge base items into this. So these 30 nodes will turn into probably 3,000, 4,000 nodes. That will be like a full data model, and that will refresh on a daily basis as well. I'll probably be getting that to run on a cycle 2 times a day, just adding more context to this hub, and then that will be kind of steering all of the mentor layers that we're adding on top of this, all of the executive assistance layers that we're adding on top of this. But we just want to get everything absolutely right in terms of the initial core hub and our knowledge base that everything will then be running from. So yeah, just gonna go back to this really quickly. Let's trigger the peer review, and I'm essentially just going to paste this straight to that agent. Verifications, boom, that's done. So I'm just going to get the peer review to look in the right project folder as well. So we're just changing that to the cockpit. Peer review gap. So once that's doing that, what now we're going to trigger from this, let me just quickly check the context window. That's 134k. So I'm actually now going to trigger our handoff, just so that when we actually start the whoa, wrong window. We don't need, that's not the one that we need to actually do this on. So let me just move this over here. And as I said earlier, this is one of the annoying things sometimes when you're doing things in this kind of granular approach, where you want oversight of everything. Quite easy to mix up which context window you're in. And that's why we ended up building our orchestration layer using Python yesterday, so I can be a little more hands-off, but still obviously still in the nitty-gritty of every single module, every single decision that gets made, because we're not here to just vibe code. We're actually following true frameworks and building things in a really methodic way, so that I've got a full understanding, a full grasp of everything that I'm actually putting in, so that when it comes to shipping, when it comes to feature improvement or features being added on or swapped out, or logic being swapped out later on in the project, I know exactly where to look. I'm not kind of having to then trigger a new prompt to say this feature isn't working, can you go off and fix it, and then it ends up breaking something. I don't know where the AI is even looking. So yeah, we're not building things in that manner. So what I wanted to quickly do is check the refactor, the review, making sure, okay, cool, so it was in this window. So I just want to check the context of usage on this. It's 120k. I'm gonna trigger my skill. That's gonna compact everything in this current plan session, because we're keeping everything under 180k, but just as a safety net, we've done all of the planning here. The next action really is to get the feedback from the peer review, do the gap changes in the plan, and then actually trigger the slice 6 build. So I'd rather just do all of that in a fresh context window rather than waiting for the context window to get a bit more full, just to end up doing the same thing anyway. So it just seemed like a logical place to break, and we can then move that onto a new session. So that's where we're at now. Just waiting for this peer review. So far, what has it found? Cool, so the verdict is good direction, but it would not freeze the slice just yet. The plan is valuable, especially with the tag legibility, the growth phase determinism, but it has several contract gaps that would make the TDD noisy, or accidentally weaken the prior guarantees. Current repo is green, so I've got 58 passed and 7 skipped items. The findings is the root legend.md will break existing root node invariants. The plan writes, goes on to list all of these things. So what I'm gonna do is the recommended amendments before we freeze it, is yes, I'm just gonna get this to write the MD, close this session off, and then I'm actually gonna feed it the verdict from my peer review agent that I'm running. So just give me a second, wait for that to finish, and once that's running, we're then gonna hit a plan ahead for the next slice. So for slice 7, granted that just on the basis that everything will go right on plan 6, on slice 6, we want to start planning towards slice 7, start to kind of lay what direction we can go in there, what would be a good fitment for that slice of work, and then just iterate that while it's building and putting the functionality into the current slice of work. So the handoff is finished. And obviously for those who may be joining and don't know what I'm referring to when I'm saying handoff, I'm keeping the context window as small as possible in terms of the context I'm actually using. So I'm running like several agents in here, all at the maximum plan. So for example, for Claude, I've got 1 million tokens available per session, but I use 140k as a maximum. And then as I'm going along, I'm compacting, and the method that I'm using for compacting is via a handoff skill. It's not obviously something I'm going to claim as my own, but I have tweaked how that's behaving in terms of, yes, I'm still following the same principles that most AI engineers kind of preach about in terms of like getting to that sweet spot of just below 140k tokens, to where anything after that you're kind of getting out of the smart zone for your agent, and getting into kind of like the dumb fuzzy zone where you're having to constantly kind of direct and handhold and give it further context, and it's making really silly errors. So to offset that, what I've ended up actually doing is baking all of these things in, because I don't want to have to constantly type /context and then check where my context window is at and how much I've used, and then do the handoff. What I've ended up using is got a handoff skill, but I've then baked in a lot of parameters in terms of it's checking various hooks to calculate the context window based off of how long I've had the window open, how many messages, and then it's calculating all of that and feeding it back in. And then usually, and you'll see it, you know, on other areas as I'm building along, it actually pops up and prompts me. So as soon as it gets to 135k tokens, it will note that, and then on the next completion of the next message, it will flag and say, I'm at, you know, it'll quote a number of tokens that it's used and say that it's at, you know, let's say for example sake, I'm at 137,000 tokens. The token, so the context window is high. We should consider handing off, and that's like an initial prompt. Obviously I can override it and carry on, but then it removes me from having to type this and do that. I can then just say yes, trigger the, do you know what I mean? So I can do it that way, and that essentially helps me keep that context window small. There's less mistakes, I'm tripping over myself less, I'm not having to kind of go back and forth with the LLM or the agent in terms of mistakes that it's making. And then that coupled with breaking the work packages into really small, succinct slices of work, it's working beautifully for me. Yes, I'm having to do a lot more hand holding at this particular stage because of the type of project I'm embarked on, and the way that I'm approaching this build itself. I'm making quite a lot of the decisions, I'm making quite a lot of the judgment calls in terms of how files are structured, how the actual repository is set up and all of that, because of the number of layers the system and the tool that I'm actually currently working on involves. I want to make sure that I understand every single level, every single layer, so that it improves the swappability of it for me. If a certain feature isn't working well, I'll have a better bearing in terms of where to look and things of that nature. And then just for curiosity's sake as well, I enjoy doing it this way. It takes me a bit longer, but it means that I'm not vibe coding something that I'm not understand, or having to hit a roadblock that once something's not working, then getting into context disputes with the agent, and you end up kind of just making a mess and killing your project just for the sake of not really building it with the right frameworks and due diligence. So yeah, but that's my views on it anyway. So this handoff is finished. So what I end up doing, regression to okay, cool. So refactor agents handoff written plan. Yep. So this is done. So what I can do now is continue Continue from handoff. And it will know which handoff it's referring to. If it doesn't, it will prompt me and ask. So then now what I can copy the verdict in anticipation. So cool, so both plans are ready. Handoff is okay, cool. So now it's asking me which one I'm actually referring to. And I'm actually referring to look ahead refit. No, we've already built this. Build a review of the walrus. No, it should be going on here. Workflow governance build or continue from handover. MD memory tier research perplexity sub slice. No, it should be. I'm looking at my peer review and thinking of something else. Me being silly. So what I actually want. Isn't what I'm. Okay. Okay. It really confused me with talking about grill me, so I'm just gonna copy in the actual name. I don't know why those two things are still outstanding. We finished ages ago. Oh, okay. Okay. Check what the content. Something that where we left off yesterday, 126. Look ahead. Actually doing here. As per slice, full context, working tree, no longer clean, snapshot, hook, test. But these are all things that we've cool. So that's want to make sure that correct. Okay, cool, got it. You're redirecting me off. You're redirecting me off the global skills and back to. Yeah, we're not supposed to be in the global skills. The sort of little things to understand. Why were you in the global skills in the first place? But it redirected me, Claude. The plan is solid and detailed, more verified. Cool. So don't start. Now I can feed it. Cool. So that's happening going forward. Yes. Yes, tidied up. All these files flagged are now committed and the governance. Okay, cool. So now this can be closed. Don't know why I still had that open. That can be closed now. Cool. So need to really get back into habit. All three are resolved and committed. So I can get that closed as well. I want to just double check what these two things are doing, and why they're still kind of like loosely hanging around. Okay, cool. So what's its view on the peer review? The baseline is green and matches the peer review claim. All users have now handed me, and the user has now handed me a detailed peer review of 9 findings in the plan mode. Fold accepted, confirm, already code, age floor, both persist, blah blah blah. Verify the tests in line. Applies. Now Git more confirms the finding in all 6 places. I've now verified every technical finding a peer review against code actually doing confirm the root. All confirmed slices. The age floor. Keep 9 just that. Okay, the split age so the new signal blend and digest age and since 4 stays. Okay, fine. This because all of these things are changeable as well. That's the thing. So I'll go with the recommended, and then if we need to pivot back for any reason, at least we know that we're keeping a track of all of these changes, whether it's me making a mental note, whether it's the orchestration layer that we've hard coded to constantly be running on session trigger. In either case, we're good in that regard. Also, I want to just check that that's doing its thing, and then just as a sense check as well. just quickly checking in with what my auditor is doing. But okay, cool. So the handoff have actually been built and shipped in session since which plan to build first of all. By doing both. Okay, two intentional residuals from plan B, both documented as third, not dropped. Okay, cool. So that's fine. So in fact, now, while that's doing that, because I'm pretty close to this, is I'm triggering slice 6. I've triggered slice 6, guys. Whoa. See what I'm doing. Slice 6 is triggered, people. And now this is starting. So it's gonna do its thing, it's gonna crack on. It's gonna build, which is good. Confirm that these two are complete. This is doing a sweep of the activity from that. Now I actually want to enter plan mode. No, so I want to do look at but I want to slightly change it. So I want to do look ahead. Use look and start slice. So slice 7. Start ideate. Plan mode. Let's start planning. And from here I actually want to drop in my zoom out feedback for the A1 readiness test. So I'm just going to tell it that the joys of human in the loop development. Why is it not running? Okay, cool. So current activity, nothing is running. I need to actually, I didn't trigger at the start of the session. So there's no auditor process running because I need to actually switch it on. I need to run this auditor on, and then surface fires on prompt. Once so between events, it sits idle. State confirmed. But will it resweep for already checked files? No. Doing event guards auditor context. This is another example about understanding your code or following and tracking what you're doing. So yesterday, we spent quite a lot of time changing how this logic work and changing it from the encryption to the key phrases. And that was tested and supposed to now be working. The fact that we've now actually switched back to anonymous mode is annoying. Which slice 7 direction do you want? You want to carry on the grilling spec? No, don't want to park. Think, what did we actually do? See if memory serves me right. Change the folder. We changed the folder. The authenticate being stored in and hard stored. Verified. Still worked. Of the from why is this falling off? Oh, so you tell me that, and then fix that, even not tell me, fix that, and then we can carry on with the forward planning, because I don't want to work from an anonymous perplexity session when we've got a pro account that's actually hooked up and authenticated. We should be using that so that everything is logged, and that I can actually then, in the same way, eventually, once this is all wired up and the flat ingest is sorted, I want to be able to actually feed in the perplexity inputs. I want to be able to feed in all of the loops from OpenAI, from Anthropics, as well as Perplexity. So it's not just one loop. Found it. This is not a cookie or a folder. You fixed yesterday is intact. Let me confirm that the Damien status. Why Perplexity Anonymous again? It's Damien connection, not your cookie. Your fix yesterday is intact and correct. The vault decrypt cleanly, blah blah blah. The problem is runtime. The process lists a smoking gun that there are 5 concurrent Perplexity MCP and Damien running at once, all pointed at a single default browser data profile. This tool is built so exactly one Damien owns the Chromium browser data. Why this keeps coming back after each fix is 2 compounding causes. Yesterday's restart never killed the already running stale almost certain a double regression. Ensure let a single Damien. Ensure only want me to kill and restart. No, let's bake this. Can we not bake this into the let's bake this into the actual, bake this into the skill, or let's bake this fix or kill stale sessions skill launch. So do this via hooks. So that on start, the agent checks stale complexity Damien sessions, kills them. So wait about that. Okay, that sounds like the most logical thing to do. Yes, make the edit to auditor oversight and done is now switched on and confirms exactly what flag. That's fine. Yes, what we're saying yes to there is the test light 3 invariants, and these are the changes that we needed to make so that we're not false flagging. Plan hook tracking is not live. Audit is on. I flipped the switch on in 2 places. 2 caveats. Plan lock tracking is not live for audit. And probe is log only. I just append learn with current hand. Sham record as it's all its Haiku package dropped to none and failed to timeout and switched on but the workers aren't producing. I don't buy that because start of this session I was looking at an output from you, mate. So what do you mean by that? Yeah, because that can't be right, because I'm just correct. So all I've done there is just correct it because it's trying to claim that the previous session failed on output. It's the initial one that failed, and then it's just told me that yeah, you're right to push back and the output is 100% real. The thing is, it didn't come from the auditor I just switched on. There are two separate auditors here producing two separate artifacts, and my empty comment was strictly about the other one. Let me prove this rather than just assert. So why are there two different auditors though? Confirmed. You're right, but we're talking about two different machines and the evidence is in the screenshot. That was a rich Sonnet verify Opus pipeline. It's real, it's correct. It is an audit, you remember, and the shim. So both statements were true. So the honest picture is the real audit equals the workflow of 39 agents. Adversarial verify. It's a trustworthy the shim. Is armed. What I switched on is the files automatically on every commit and Let me record this and then I'll suggest. Okay, cool. So we need to fix that then, isn't it? Fix that. Cool. More housekeeping, more fixing, but gone progress on slice. One here's kicking our ass, man. We're only in the field, still one just ticked off one thing. Section, so we still haven't even been able to arm the gate yet. Because this test is just kicking our ass. But it's gonna iterate and iterate and iterate and iterate and iterate until we get it right. So don't have to worry about anything. And the way that we've set up governance around this is it will not try and cheat. It will not go and change what constitutes as correct. It would chip away and chip away and chip away. So it's now got 63 past tests, and the first amend prominence gate signal scheme. This makes them red and makes them red, pretty sure by design. So diagnose skill is done. So we're just gonna try and find out what's wrong with that. Our auditor fix that in the same breath. We're revising the issue that we keep facing with perplexity. And at the same time, we're cracking on with Slice, with Slice 6. Now verifying those things. Let's see what this is saying. We're working our way down. steady progress down that list. Let's workers on. Okay, cool. And let's find those two. Now start closing those. We'll start closing those gaps off. Head skill is also now finished, so we can start future planning now for slice 7. Moment. And a good thing, well, the thing is, we could have actually technically started looking at broken hand, but no complaints. But yeah, so we can technically plan ahead for slice 7 now, but I want Perplexity to be working as it should be, rather than relying on what on an anonymous Perplexity session. It's just not the one. We just want to be able to make sure that we're working on the correct session. I've just seen it open up Chrome in the background. I want to see what this now coming back with, and then let's see. Silly verification question is this. Where's the capital? France, Paris. What did it actually fully verified? This works, so it's authenticated, and there's pro. There's a user my account. The sole survivor re-authenticated pro automatically. But to be fair, if it opened up in Chrome, so that should have authenticated automatically through my account. I'm not too worried about that. So obviously you've got multi-server connection or contention failure mode, which was diagnosed, which was what the cause was. So what it built was the Reaper hook for Perplexity Reaper, which is a wired as a second session start entry on settings JSON, which was edited, scoped to startup only, keeps a single newest Perplexity user MCP server. If it's younger than the grace window, Perplexity section kill or author. If none are recent, you'll also a fresh single session starts alone and owns the lock. Cool. So that's perfect. That is now recorded, updated the MCP wiring memory with this third distinct failure mode. Perfect. So now actually do is get back to what we were originally doing, which was triggering the look ahead. But I want to just quickly check the context used. Session needed. At least we got. Do we need? Let's practice. checking in on these two agents and what the progress that they're making on fixing our audit checker. All I'm seeing here is just a lot of authentication messages and user prompts. But I can see now the stage gate is actually now green. So done the spec, we've done the recency ladder change, we've done the link blend render, we've done the signal, got the right legends in there, got the hardening batch. It's now on the growth phase determination test. See if there's anything actually changed in complexity. There are, because I'm seeing deeper. There's this new red node labeled index, tag slightly different, but and then obviously the recency tag has changed. That's new. One of these orange ones. Prominence or role assistant. But in terms of at least like the saturation, I'm seeing darker browns and remove that row. Oh, because what the heck is that? All right. Cool. Handoff complete. So I want to continue for this. Start. Who wanted me? What I'm looking at. So, what we've done there. Just gonna quickly. So what we've done there is we've added the recency and changed the relationship on the labels as well. So now it's saying recency is this month. This I'm probably going to end up pushing back on. We'll see how it goes for now, but obviously we're not in 2024. But the date of this, no. So we're obviously not in 2024, but then this is basing this off of the date that the file was actually imported into the folder where I'm saving all of these conversations. And that's the date it's going off, not the actual date that the message itself was created. So I'm going to flag that as a potential red herring because obviously that doesn't coincide with this recency. That's number one. But in terms of the navigation and the weighting, the clusters still look and behave the same, but I have noticed a little difference in the coupling. So I want to just I just want to see what this is behaving like, and yeah. And then obviously on some of them there is no recency pairing at all. So it's just that inconsistency that we need to plug and feed back. Okay, so do that in a second. Perplexity is running. It's amazing. Oh. But yeah, the fixes that we built into Perplexity is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. Yeah, really pleased with that. It's running and it's asking an architecture question for local first, import and whatever else. So yeah, this is good. Very good. I'm just gonna see where we're at with this. All 3 pure building blocks are done, and now the integration, wire them, behaves. This is the regression test and the green and correct seam. Fine. I just want to quickly give this feedback. The see sun to month. On user file. So give the feedback on those 2 things, see what it thinks. Get that done. Let's see what this outcome is showing. Cool. So perplexity, this is what we wanted. So perplexity. So perplexity returned deep, well-cited analysis on both fronts. So the scholar results on the graph rag, blah 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 blah. So graph mentor layer, perplexity 1 slice. So I just want to see what this feedback. I am in plan mode for this, so I'm not too worried about it trying to run off and build something that we've not asked for. Just doing bash. Good catch. Let me investigate both. Before theorizing diagnosis, this status. Okay, yeah, cool. That's fine. Do your thing. Gaps element. Read. Cool. So I'm actually going to get a peer review from my independent adjudicator, based off of, see what did this get. Good catch. Let me investigate. What did it find? No feedback. Brand. Review of slice 6 gaps. Okay, cool. So that's fine. Slice 7. since slide 6. Cool. So I'm just gonna wait for that to back the peer review before I go back to it. Cool. So red, now the green refractor surface through the now refractor. Fix that. There's a peer review. A1's review. Finding recency is using a message JSON. That's okay, cool. So this resolves the latest resolves the 2024, which is the latest, which is the newest message, and the sample size the same instant. It's not the download wrapper. This whole sample spans 3 weeks. Recency export relative by design. Okay, cool. The design. That's the design working as specified, and it self corrects in just a current export with 2025 conversation. Ban sample fit. The sample fixture is just a narrow slate window. The alternative you're implicitly asking for is labels relative to today, means a wall lock now, which reverses a locked decision and breaks the determinism rule. Same export would tag differently dependent to findings. So recommended add a recency plus signal. Give each conversation hub a recency rung. Let's do that. All right, cool. So let me see. Up to the mentor. The mentor is locked. The mentor is architectures. 10 element D that reads a code and never touches. Here's a peer review. Still a strategic dependency, but weeks freshness unlocks everything. Real recency, recurrent digest, and if the goal after slide 6 is getting smarter, may disappoint unless it shipped. So I do want to get out of this phase now, to be fair, but I don't want to rush out of this. E2 is the best. E2 is the best. Slide 7 if you want a visible value without opening a mental layer. Temporal idea threads are strongly aligned with the current vault. No similarity chronologically. It gives a new reading mode. Shows how the idea evolved. That is mentor shaped. While still deterministic and render only. E1 is elegant. Too abstract at a current. Between the certainty. Centrally sounds perfect. Between us and or is the real. too big for slice 7 and split. E3 introducing assisted. The best when optimizing the roadmap correctness. Biggest unlock, highest implementation risk. Needs a tight scope. CC Jason. Yeah, no mentor. No. The main gap, it means full thread. Best slice 7 candidate for the product feel. It can be a render. Can be render generate. Let's lock in. Let's be decisive. Whoa. Where's all the saturation and stuff? Something's not right. Something not right. Something is definitely not. All the saturation has disappeared off of our thing. We'll get back to it, I guess. Let's leave it to do its thing. E2 grow me skill sets now. Starting to grow me based off of E2. Grep. I just want to get to a point where this slice is working. Okay, cool. The saturation is back. We've now got a legend node as well. Cool. So it's like it's slowly starting to take or retake the shape it previously had, as in on the front end. You can't see that. Slowly starting to take the shape that it had a little while ago because saturation had gone. And now all we're doing is just linking the items back up. There's a legend now added as well, just to kind of give weight into everything and to give context. what I'm probably going to end up adding into this tomorrow is this peer review handoff between the two. So not really rendering, if I could just I'm passing things back and forth between. I really want to get myself out of this orchestration seat that I sit in, and just, yeah, be a little more hands off. Just to be a little bit more hands off, because now I can see myself just, I trust the peer review each time. So again, now I can build that straight into the plan, or the grill me session, so that it's talking directly to this agent or this peer review peer review agent, and then just accepting its guidance because it's acting totally independently. And again, it's not steered me wrong doing it that way. So after reviewing this process and doing it a few times, I can now lock it in. And again, that's one less thing that I then have to do manually. And I can trust that exchange, right? So I'm again removing another kind of handoff or double touch, and giving it to the system to do that between the two agents now, because that confidence has been built up over the last few exchanges. I'll be building that in tomorrow. I'm just going to quickly get a peer review on question 3. Again, normally I would read like I have been doing for the last X amount of hours on this build, but now said I'm getting very succinct, items back, or responses back. So I just want to make sure that we're getting the right stuff back. So that come back. Wait, so now what we're doing 30 to make pick. No, the collaboration is decisive. This idea returned. This is annoying. That's a pivot and fine. Let me verify if cross conversation solution is essentially absent. Zero. To be honest, read. couple more. Let's see where we're. Cool. So just doing the final handoffs, and then we'll pick up from here tomorrow. So we know that we've got to do slice, complete the grilling session for slice 7. We've finished fixing the we just need to do the authentication of and then the slice 6 has been shipped, so that's fine. So then obviously we just wrap up start 7 and then 8, those 2, and then we're practically close to being onto the dropping the rest of the or the brains of the operation. Cool. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm gonna call it a night because I am shattered. 2 a.m. here local time, so I'm gonna actually get some sleep, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow evening.